How did I get lost in my own orbit, revolving around the planet that no one else can find? I'm waiting for signals on my screen when the signs that I'm receiving are all delayed in time. All I wanted was a little space, a place where I can fully be myself. Was building up a world that keeps me safe. How couldn't I see it really was a cage? Give me a little space.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to week 2 of NECC play for Valpo Esports League of Legends. I'm your host, Dikembe. I'm here with my co-host,
Hi, I'm Mike.
and it looks like starting off here, we're going to be entering into draft. First ban for Valpo Esports, Thresh, obviously. You win Esports, their support, mainly a Thresh player, right? 38 games out of, the next most played is 3. Valpo Esports banning the other one trick that is Zed. Um, for you in esports, also another assassin mid lane, but then you in esports coming back, banning the Jax and hovering the Heimerdinger here, maybe going with it.
Yeah,
There's
the
the ban on the Heimer.
the Jax is definitely something we've seen a lot more. The way Dreadful has been playing on it over the past couple games. So
Yep. I mean, banning the Kane as well. Just kind of taking the most picked here. We're not really sure where UN Esports is going to go when it comes to actual like draft time. Obviously, solo queue and esport and just competitive play are a little bit different here. So might see the J4 come out, which I know that they can play. Might see a couple of Katarina picks. The Silas pick is also pretty strong for their mid. Valpo Esports kind of gonna fall under two things, right? It's either gonna be poke or it's gonna be aggressive. Um, I know that there was a lot of like deliberation behind the scenes, but Valpo Esports really, with the first pick Jarvan, as I was about to say, really looking to work around this Jarvan 4. Um,
yeah, and we also saw the last ban from Windsor being a Nivea. Uh,
mhm,
rare occasion we only have one mid ban, so it leaves a lot of things here
mhm.
open for Jakimbo. I think that's definitely good for Valpo.
Yep. I mean, we've seen so many mid bands go on. I think that it is better that they're kind of mixing it up a little bit here. But UN Esports gonna return back with the Zaya first pick. I mean, solid first pick Zaya right now, especially in meta. Definitely that S tier, A tier ADC. She's one of the best in the game at this moment. Not only for just damage output, but the utility that she offers with the Gale Force build that they have going into Navores. Just completely dirty damage wise. That 1 to 2 item power spike that you get is enough to carry you through. And now with the buffs that she's had in this last patch, really enough to just carry you all the way. Probably going to be in a Mumu support as well. Really nice to just have kind of a little bit of peel for Zaya. Obviously, Zaya has a peel built into her R, so it's nice to kind of dash back, get a little bit of repositioning going. but Amumu is just that little extra security that you need, especially in that bot lane. And honestly, if I'm you in esports, I'm looking to fight level 1, level 2, push this, especially if Valpo Esports is going to draft that Ziri Lulu. Um, we talked about this last game. We talked about this a couple of other weeks as well. Drafting that Ziri Lulu, you're kind of opting into a scaling game, right? We saw the first couple games that Valpo had. The draft difference that they had really was just you pick too many scaling lanes, right? If you're gonna pick a scaling lane in the bot, you have to be able to pick someone that's going to carry you through that early mid game, right? We know Talia. Talia is definitely a one item power spike, right? That's that mid game. So you pick that Talia, you have that Zeri to scale now, you have the insurance that you need. Jarvan 4 is just going to be able to play around the map. Well, with you in esports, you have the Zaya Mumu bot lane. We're assuming that Amumu is support here. Could be a jungle Amumu, but as of right now in meta, Amumu is just really, really nasty in support. Um, oh, okay, yeah, I was wrong. You know what? Right as I say that, there's a literal foot in my mouth right now because
Oh yeah, I mean it definitely could have been a little bit of
wow.
a switch up too. I mean they may have initially drafted that Amumu for support, but then tried to take away the Lulu because that is something we play so often with the Zeri. So
Mhm.
could be an interesting adaptation, or maybe they just like Amumu jungle.
I mean, hey, listen, I'm happy I'm not coach right now, right? Because I would have gotten fooled by that. But obviously, Valpo Esports probably didn't pick up a support there specifically because they don't know if that Amumu is that jungle or not, right? So having the Zaya Lulu, just a little bit more sustain for Zaya, not the fight really that you want, but you're gonna have the exhaust, you're gonna have a lot of peel for yourself. You can play a little bit safer now. Um, you and Esports going with the first ban Mordekaiser. Valpo banning out the Katarina, kind of focusing on this mid laner here, forcing him to kind of play out of his element a little bit. Um,
Yeah, Ewan also gonna ban out the Gangplank, so really kind of targeting Dreadful here in the top lane. Want
yep,
to make sure that their top laner gets a good matchup in this game.
yep. I mean, you're making sure that you ban out that top lane Gangplank, especially you have to think here what they're going to put on top of that Jarvan 4, right? Gangplank level 6, Jarvan level 6, it can almost guarantee a lot of objective takes because now you're always fighting a man at disadvantage. You either give Gangplank lane or Gangplank, map wide ult you across, and now you have the damage of someone else there plus the other three people. Um, you in esports probably going with the Yone mid, it looks like. Um,
Yeah, that's also another pick you can flex up top. So you win,
hmm
being really, I guess, deceptive or,
Yep,
picking a lot of flex picks here to try to throw Valpo off.
definitely a lot of flex picks here, but I think what Ewan has to watch out for is they need peel for that Zaya, right? Because once Zaya R is down, Amumuk has a little bit of a hard time working back to front, right? Or working to that back line again. Yone's a very dive heavy in. Lulu's just sitting in the back as well, not really much of a peel. So if someone is to get to that back line for Valpo Esports, it's going to be pretty dangerous depending on how Ewan picks here. Valpo Esports picking up the Soraka and the Gwen as well. The Gwen top lane, kind of safe. Oh, never mind.
Still pending that pick. Looks like we thought it was going
Hmm.
to be the Gwen, but she's got a few seconds left here,
And oh,
and it's
and
going to
it's
be
Darius.
Darius.
Okay. Okay, so we do pick up the Darius here. I guess you're kind of just looking for an early fight, right? I mean, we talked about you don't want to pick a scaling lane, and then kind of throw it all up to the jungle, right? So you have Darius, which I mean does scale pretty hard, especially with the bleed stacks, with the R, good team fight. But pretty dangerous level 1. You have the scaling lane with Ziri Soraka in the bot lane, and you have Talia who has that mid game. So you're kind of you can kind of see the crescendo almost of how you go early game top. You want to play around that top, then you go to that mid game, then you go to that late game, and that's kind of the draft that Valpo was really cooking up this whole week. UN Esports picking up the Gragas, which again can flex either top or mid. We really won't see until we go into this draft here. But I can see the matchup with Gragas, especially into that Darius, right? Um, Pretty nasty knowing the lockdown that you have because Darius loves to pull it, right? the pull, it's going to airborne you, it's going to slow you, and a lot of the times with a lot of characters, it's tough because he pulls and you're not able to walk out for your abilities. With Gragas, especially with his belly bump that he has, you get pulled, you still can use that belly bump, you can interrupt his combo, so it's kind of a good pick into him. Um, Yone going into Talia as well, you're just kind of looking to dive in, right? Um, Gragas does have okay peel for their backline, like we were talking about what they wanted to draft. Um, Being able to throw that R behind, but a lot of the times just using the R for displacement is more than enough to keep Valpo from getting a backline dive. So the draft there really fit kind of the comp that Ewan was looking for, and it fit really well. So I like the Gragas pick here.
Yeah, I mean, something that I think Valpo really kind of wants to center on here is that Jarvan 4 in the jungle. I think that, they're going to have to rely on Vector a lot in this game, especially in that bot side, because we talked about how weak Zeri can be early game.
Hmm.
So just being there to support, and, he's had some really great jungle performances already. So I think he's kind of becoming a central part of this team.
Oh, definitely.
Louis,
Just starting to
fear
work
the
around. I mean,
shadows.
we haven't even mentioned it, right? We are on a new patch for this game, or this game specifically. We have the Jarvan AD buffs coming in now. Jarvan's W does now scale off of his AD, and it has a lower cooldown. We did have the new ASOL, but new ASOL is banned in NECC till I think the 23rd of February. And then,
Yes. So one
yep,
more week without it. So.
and we do have the new Annie buffs as well, which I mean skyrocketed Annie to top of the chart. She's insane right now. But overall just a couple of new picks, couple of just like looks, and I think over the draft is pretty balanced, right? I do prefer Valpo Esports' draft a little bit harder because if you think about ideas, right? For Valpo, you need to dive to that back line. You don't really have
Mhm.
a tank here, right? Darius is more of a bruiser, right? You don't really build him full tank. You kind of build him bruiser, you let him do damage. So you can't fight front to back here unless you have Zeri ult, right? Zeri
Right.
needs to be scaled. So we're talking kind of early to mid game. You really don't want to fight front to back unless Zeri can start ghosting on people. So until then, you have the Jarvan 4 to lock down. You have the Talia to be able to disrupt. You have the W from her R kind of to help out those mid lane or help out those early ganks as well.
Yeah.
And you play that backside. You want to go back to front on these guys because with Amumu wants to fight front to back. He's going to queue in. He's going to queue in immediately first person, and then his R will hit everyone in that area, right? You want to fight front to back. Zaya, you want to fight front to back. One of the best front to back fighters because of her feathers and the pullback. Yone wants to fight front to back as well because he can proc his Q and then dive backwards. And Gragas kind of is working on that peel, right? He has that stun, he has that CC that can work. Gragas is more of the flexible pick here, even if he is in this top lane, like we see. Um, so it's a lot of front to back work, but Valpo needs to position themselves so that they don't force a front to back. Because if they fight front to back, they're gonna lose, right?
Yeah.
I purely just based on team comp here, I think Ewan has the better front to back. You can take a shot every time I've said front to back in this last 2 seconds. But they have the better engage here. But I think that if Valpo is able to position themselves to jump on the Lulu, jump on Zaya, even jump on Yone to a bit before he jumps on that E, I think they're in a good spot to kind of run that flank.
Yeah, and as we're taking a look at this draft being officially locked in, we are going to see that it is the Gragas top and the Yone mid. I'm definitely interested to see how this Amumu jungle does for Ewan, because that's something we haven't seen in a little bit, and it could be really good or it could be really bad here.
Yep, definitely. Um, I mean, Amumu Jungle is very gank early, right? Kind of a slow clear when you're initially going, right? His passive is really nice for clearing those kind of larger camps. Um, so it has more of a less of a full clear, as I would say, right? And you want to just get to the lane early. And obviously with the new patches with League and everything, Riot Games has really been incentivizing that. Um, so having these characters that gank really early is super helpful for your team. So we're going to see Amumu trying to get active early, but if he doesn't start to get that gold, if he doesn't start to really build tank, he's in a really rough spot. It's why Amumu jungle is kind of tough because you
Yeah.
don't have the reliability gold of a support item. You don't have someone else to play around for a majority of the time. If you get caught out 1v1 in jungle without item, especially against maybe a Jarvan 4 with the new patches, um, it becomes really bloody for Amumu. So uh, that's really what we're looking for.
Yeah, and I mean the other piece of it too is, how does Valpo adapt? If that Lulu was something that they were planning on and wanting to pick, now taken away, having to switch to the Soraka, does that change their game plan? Does that throw them off here? Or is the Soraka going to be just as strong in the bot lane?
Definitely. I think while Lulu is definitely the better pick for Zeri, right, with the buffs that Lulu gives to move speed and to attack damage as well, I think Soraka is still pretty good in general. You're looking for that global heal, right? Now you kind of have to look at Steamroller and how he plays across the map. He has to be a lot more vigilant. So it's no longer Lulu plays, you go tunnel vision into your lane until your ADC's gone, right? Now you hit 6, you have to have eyes all over the map. um the lane just gets a little bit more different because you have more poke, right? And you have the
Yeah,
silence, especially for Zaya and Lulu. You have a lot more range than a Lulu would have, but you take a lot more riskier trades because you don't have the guaranteed shield that Lulu gives. You have the heal, but you are taking away from yourself as you heal. So it's just a little bit riskier. It's a little bit more volatile of a bot lane, but I think that's important for Valpo Esports to kind of play that global map.
yeah. Overall, from what we know about Valpo Esports, a lot of comfort here. We've seen so many Talia games from Jikimbo, so many Zeri games from Thonk Senpai, and a lot of Jarvan from Vector. And I'm sure he's very happy about those new changes, giving him the chance to kind of play it in this stronger state here.
Definitely. He's been loving Jarvan 4 recently. I mean, he's not the only jungler. We've been looking across NECC, across the board. Jarvan 4 has been a solid pick for these 2 weeks, honestly. So going into this game, should see a lot of comfortable fights. I'd say from Vector in this jungle here. Definitely not afraid to jump in on any of these teams.
Yeah, and I mean that's really going to set, the early game pace, like you said, if we're able to get those ganks and get that lead going and almost not fall too far behind because we've seen so many times, you give up a couple early kills, but there's the Zeri slowly scaling, just surviving, getting ready for the
Definitely.
late game, for the spike that she gets there.
That's definitely the deal that you want. I mean, you're gonna play around this top side and slowly kind of trickle to that bot side. And I think at least a little bit of hovering, but making sure that this Amumu does not take complete bot priority. Because that's really how you set back that Zeri. Zeri scaling is really reliant on, hey, I'm going to get this like farm in early game. I'm gonna match them early game. Let's not give them anything because I know I can beat them
Welcome
late
to
game,
Summoner's
right?
Rift.
You have that security in scaling, but that security is only lost if you don't have prio. So
Yeah, definitely something we're
30
looking
seconds
for.
until
As
minions
we're hopping in
spawn.
here, we do now get to see, the summoners and the runes. Anything stand out here as a crazy pick, or is this kind of all stock standard?
I mean, really just kind of standard. I mean, MF Chikimbo going with the unsealed spellbook, but not taking exhaust first is a little bit different. Maybe looking for kind of more of a passive lane, right? Especially going with the Yone, just spinning and this spin. But just a
We
couple of
love we
spins.
love
Minions have
the
spawned.
friendly little
Of
interactions
course,
here.
yeah. We love seeing Beyblades on the map. I mean, we have Garrett. If we only had Garen, we have Darius.
That's true.
We have Darius. We have Yone taunts. We just need Garen. But I mean, enough
Hey,
talk about Beyblades.
maybe next game,
Yeah,
one of these
maybe,
laners will hear you.
maybe when Dreadful enters back in, we'll get that Garen back. But we are gonna take just normal starts here. Probably J4 starting that red, gonna path up to that top lane, like we talked about. But it looks like Amumu taking that blue, kind of important for Amumu clear, right? You just need the mana. You need the mana to toss, especially with bandage toss, kind of costing a little bit, jumping from that, jumping from camp to camp. It's just fun watching him kind of dash around in his own jungle.
Yep, we're gonna see the early game starting off here. You know, just kind of standard farming up CS. Are there any big spikes that we're looking for? I mean, who's gonna have the strongest level 3? As we see Vector coming in down here at level 2.
Yep. I mean, like we talked about, you need to get aggressive. We said pathing top, but it looks like he had just wanted to clear immediately. He was not looking to waste any time there. So taking that red, taking Krugs, and then immediately walking over after that level 2 makes sense. I mean, if you look now, you have this bot lane prio, right? While there aren't any sums that were taken out yet because there wasn't really a knockup, now Thunk Senpai is in a lot better of a situation because of it. We'll have a little bit of an engage here, trying to throw him back, getting the stun, but the E pulls back before he can get launched.
Still some pretty good damage trades here from Valpo early on, with Thunk Senpai getting some good damage on the bot lane, and Kimbo with a little bit of lead in the mid lane there.
And I mean, we're seeing here, we talked about this being a lot more volatile of a bot lane, a lot more poke heavy, right? And that Soraka throwing out abilities, getting that heal from her Q as well. It's pretty insane. We are going to have the engage and the ignite on Jakimbo here. The flash coming out as well, the E, and that's going to be first blood going to Yone. Yone maybe looking to turn this here, the knockup as well. Vector doing a lot of damage and not going to be able to get out of that as Vector picks up the kill. 1-for-1, but first blood going to the Yone here. I mean, we talked about him not taking that exhaust, but it's going to pay off here because now he has teleport to get back to lane, trying to pick up a couple, but it looks like he won't as the wave is kind of frozen in mid. Makes sense. With Vector being a little bit low, Amumu is going to get a little bit more aggressive, trying to walk into jungle. Dreadful covering, just making sure. Thunk Senpai stepping up here. A lot of damage going out. Xayah gets the pull off as well. Crit misses from Thunk. Steamroller just still walking up. Really healthy right now, so a lot of health to give. That's kind of how you think of Soraka. You can't really think of her as her own like health bar. Unless she gets engaged on, you have to really see her as an extra health bar for your laner. So with a lot of health here, a lot of W's being thrown out. And there's another Q, but that's a ton of damage. The pullout being silenced, but the crit hitting from Thunk Senpai. Now feeling kind of free to push this lane, and even if Amumu was the path down, it's going to be a little bit hard to follow up.
Yeah, both members of Ewan's bot lane getting so low there. You're seeing the poke from the Zeri, and there it is. He's going to take down Lulu.
Yep. I mean, Amumu's coming down, but it's a little bit too late. You just have to be careful so that Thunk Senpai doesn't overstay here. You got your kill, you got the push, and this is what you need. Let the wave push back to you, take that back, get that gold, and now you're going to win that next fight too.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned early game about kind of that extra range of the Soraka, you know, really coming in clutch there with a couple of silences, able to get the good damage in and eventually the kill onto the Lulu.
Definitely. We do see Amumu in this mid lane here, just kind of clearing out, but Vector following right behind as well. We might see a little bit of an engage here. Yone walking down. Pretty strong here, just knowing you have that extra attack speed, especially with Taliyah having to go mana first. Combo going out from Gragas here, but the bleed is going to win that trade for Dreadful. Just Conqueror proccing. There's the R, but it does miss, and the launch under as well, taking a tower shot, not going to be much. Jakimbo kind of in a good spot now, knowing that the Yone R is gone. Just kind of playing around, having to kill these minions to get 6.
Yeah, so far in this early game, a really good lead for Valpo's bot lane. Although the Yone did pick up first blood, Valpo was able to kind of swing the game back in their favor a little bit.
Yep. I mean, we do see first drag up, mountain drag. So there should be a couple of engages going down here. You have to be careful. If they decide to try and walk down, you have to go when Yone R isn't up. Yone R is one of those just tide turning abilities. Emma Chikimbo now probably going to take his back and have TP up for Dragon. Amumu's still that top side. Vector's probably going to clear that top side as well. So we might have an engage here first time somebody goes for something. Bot lane does have prio here, knowing that Soraka is just coming back to lane after a couple of chip outs.
Still pretty quiet here for a minute.
And there's the R under tower as well, and the knockup. Amumu throwing out the Q, but Dreadful flashing over the Q, just sprinting, trying to get out, dodges the second Q as well. Amumu now out of stacks, kind of be able to walk. There's the knockup as well, the airborne, the shot, the Q as well, the pull in, but not being in tower range. The heal was huge though. Vector kind of hovering just in case one of them steps in tower range, you knock them back up, you can turn that pretty easily.
Really good by Dreadful to get out of there and not give up a kill.
Yep. I mean, dodging those two Qs are essential, right? If you get hit by really any one of them, Gragas has that combo a little bit earlier, you don't have enough range. Senpai just taking a couple of shots here. And there's the dash out as well. There's the flash coming from Xayah, the root as well, the ignite, and that's going to take down Thunk Senpai. Xayah just dancing around right now. We see really how dangerous she is. I mean, 2 longsword, they still not full Noon Quiver up, but a ton of damage going out.
Yeah, so far this has been a pretty even game, and you know, a fun one to watch. Both of these teams being pretty aggressive here,
and there's the R under tower as well. The ignite coming up, just taking a ton of shower shots, but it's still going to be a better trade for that Yone. Chikimbo being probably forced to back unless looking for something for Vector. The Yone R being out now, and the ignite as well is a little bit safer. There's the knockup as well. The Q trying to get away. The R coming from Vector, trying to combo with this Talia, throwing abilities in here too. And just an auto, the flash, but it was not enough. Will minions kill? Minions do kill Talia. Steamroller was not fast enough to get there with the heal on Talia. Another 1-for-1 trade, but this time kill going to Talia.
yeah, unfortunate that Jakimbo does go down there. You thought he might be able to get away from it, but just too low. And I mean, if you're Windsor, you got to really look to this Yone. You know, picking up 2 kills he could get scary as things go into late game.
Definitely. I mean, Yone is going to be kind of that menace when it comes to walking down to Dragon, walking up to Rift Herald, right? Having that control, especially with how fast wave clear is for Yone at this moment, compared to Talia before 1 item, that it becomes really tough. Talia will spike at 1 item. You have to be careful here. Bot lane does have Prio. Amumu walking down. Vector has to be really cautious walking in this jungle here.
Yep, looks like the Dragon might get started up. A lot of members on both sides kind of grouping up over here.
Looks like it. The knockup on Chikimbo not going to be doing enough damage, as Yone is probably going to have to pull back here. Chikimbo rotated down. The ghost popped as well. And there's the steal from Vector jumping over the wall. Chikimbo R's to the backline. Thunk Senpai picks up the kill on Lulu. Shadow Dragon on Amumu getting that kill as well, but Ziri is R'd and ghosted. There's the double kill. Yone following up. Vector in the backline on Xayah, maybe being able to pick up this kill. There's the kill on Xayah. Steamroller might go down here, just looking for the E pullback. Dashing in. There's the huge R from that Yone as well. Hitting. Thunk Senpai is just so fast dashing around. Vector's going to look to disengage, and Yone's going to get out.
Man, ultimately that ended up being a 3-for-2 in Valpo's favor. Ton of action coming in, and incredible steal again by Vector. I think that was actually comboed, you know, with the Soraka silencing the Amumu there in the pit, so.
Yep. I mean, hitting that kind of choke point right there with that huge silence, not getting off that fruit, but just being enough to stop people from throwing those abilities is so huge. It was a good trade, though, for Valpo's Thunk Senpai, right? Getting those early kills as Ziri, getting that pickaxe almost close to Kraken. As we know, Thunk Senpai likes to go that on-hit Ziri that's super strong right now. Chikimbo does get a little bit engaged here. The slow coming from Rulu, the polymorph as well, the ignite coming out. There's 3 in this mid lane. Chikimbo might go down to the next queue, and there it is.
Man, Chikimbo is not having a fun game here on this Talia. You can tell that Windsor, you know, knew coming into this game that he is a strong member of Valpo Esports and kind of wanted to target him here a little bit.
Definitely. I mean, you have to give credit to this Yone as well, playing the matchup pretty well. This is what you want to do, right? Because you have that early prio until that 1 item. You have the damage that you need. Your engage is insane, especially with the move speed. If Talia misses W, there's really nothing else other than her slow from her E that can stop you running down. So just kind of taking that advantage, using that lead, and hopefully, or not hopefully for us, but hopefully for you, when they can put their kind of eggs in that Yone basket and play around it. Excuse me. Voice
Yeah,
crack.
and I mean, even though Jakimbo not having the greatest game, it is a team game, and Tonk Senpai's there to
Yep.
pick up a lot of the kills, a lot of Valpo's gold going on that Zeri. So we kind of have a carry of our own here to match the Yone. Certainly an even fight thus far.
No, definitely. I mean, we don't have the like exact insurance that you're looking for, but you do have Zeri getting those kills. So I mean, the insurance just is to delay until Zeri scales. So if Zeri scales too fast, hey, go team.
As we're seeing after that dragon fight, things kind of calming down a bit. Everyone going back to farming. Surprisingly, not a lot of action here in the top lane.
Hmm.
Definitely something we're not used to, as Dreadful is more that aggressive character. And as I say that, Jakimbo is going to come up here and use his wall on the Gragas.
A couple of shots, the flash, but the pull going before the flash. The R under the tower, but Dreadful will pick up that kill after the R. Good roam from Talia. I mean, the flash going up from Gragas after the E proc is a little bit of a weird interaction, but that's kind of how Darius works. Just a little bit dirty.
It's like he heard me talking too, you know. Dreadful, I said he was quiet, and there he is. He and Jakimbo set up the kill on the Gragas. So.
Yep. So, I mean, we'll see here. There's a couple of walkarounds. That is the nice thing for Amumu, right? We talked about how in lane he's really strong because he gets to walk with someone now. Now that you have that Yone as strong as he is with full shield bow and with Zerkers, you can have him walk with you. So now the Mumu's a lot safer in jungle to kind of clear that vision, play around that prio, and then take fights on his own terms. We do have Rift drop to mid here, trying to just give this Yone as much gold as he can. Probably going to go down with this first turret. A couple of, it looks like they are in mid a little bit. Tower almost going down, probably just going down to one like caster minion. There it is. And caster minion finishing off. You can just see here. We talked about Xayah being a front to back person. All those feathers is exactly the reason. It's the whole point. You do have the dash up as well, the stun coming out, and there's the knock up as well. Jumping into the R so that he can't get away. The R as well coming from Vector. Another dash in, just looking to do a lot of damage here, but the shutdown going to Darius.
Really big shutdown, 300 gold there. Pick up from Valpo. Yone, yes, he's strong, but overextended a little bit there and could not take on 3 members of Valpo at once.
That's what you have to do. You have to punish being aggressive, right? That's the hard part about having prio, is that when you have prio, you have to be confident to take your fights and know when you can take your fights. And a lot of the times, it's just really a toss-up. There's not much like reconnaissance that you can do. If you go in, you go in. So with Yone, especially right there, you don't know that those 3 are hovering. You have your Q up. You know that you can kill Talia. It's kind of just a shot call.
Yep, and then that kill also going over to Dreadful, his second of the game, picking up a little bit more gold there. Always good to see him getting online.
Yep. I mean, Dreadful now with the Stride Breaker, being able to run people down, right? That's the whole thing about Stride Breaker. You get the move speed, you get the slow as well. Just being able to jump in. There's the Yone E coming out. Big key to this is you have to count cooldowns, right? You have to be able to count Yone R, you have to be able to count Yone E, know when he has these kind of things up. And we're seeing here, we have the Talia R as well, the jump out, looking for maybe a toss over the Lulu R coming out preemptively. Amumu jumping in, getting the R as well, the TP coming in from Darius in the top lane. Vector jumps to the backside, Dreadful jumps in, the Yone R coming out as well, the exhaust on Yone. Vector jumping in, trying to get the Conqueror proc, but the shutdown going down to Xayah, the flash over the wall getting Thong. Thong jumping over as well, trying to corner this guy. Double kill going on this Zeri from that bot lane. Amumu being forced to run back. Yone kind of retreating to his lane here. And it looks like second drag is going to be Valpo's, even with no jungler.
That Talia wall is such a good engage. We see it come down and Valpo just explodes so quickly onto Windsor. A 2-for-1 trade in their favor, and both of those going over to Zeri. Thong Senpai is starting to get fed in this game.
Yep. I mean, Thong Senpai, that's exactly what you're looking for here. Just getting a little bit of damage going off, getting a little bit of gold going your way, trying to just secure yourself.
still definitely going to have to, deal with this Yone and this Zaya as they are strong, and, we've seen them have their moments in this game, so...
Yep. You do have the Zaya going Kraken Slayer, which I mean, it is a stronger build on Zaya, right? While Gale Force is pretty strong right now, Kraken's kind of just that comfort thing, right? You know you have the secured damage, you know you have the autos, and I mean, Zaya working front to back, you want to fight those tankier people first, makes sense you want to go Kraken. Right, you're not really looking for that dash, you're not really looking for just kind of moving around a little bit, but you can throw down as many feathers and just get as much as you can.
So we're seeing Valpo definitely in control here, slight gold lead, but they also have the 2 Drakes and the 5 kills onto the Zeri, so definitely the edge in Valpo's favor. So we're kind of just taking it slow, both these teams have been like, okay, there's an objective up, let's fight, tons of action, and then, oh, nothing's up, we're just back to normal.
I mean, right now, a lot of Valpo's gold lead is sitting on that Zeri here. But even then, it's still not a lead for them, right? You are sitting at a very, very close game. Both teams almost even on gold. This Rift Herald going to put it in Valpo's favor a little bit here, but you can just see it's a little bit lopsided. So the lucky thing is though, it's not lopsided on like Soraka or Jarvan, right?
Yes.
Like you want it on that Zeri, you want kind of that lead. And it's just overall kind of what you're looking for.
Yeah, and I mean, even though it is such a tight game right now, we talked about how Zeri is kind of that better scaler going into the late game, and that's kind of what Valpo's game plan is we're going to drop the Herald mid here and hopefully take down turret. There it is.
There is the turret. Rift Herald going down mid here. A couple of dashes, a couple of slows. Yone are going out in that bot lane as well. MF Jakimbo just matching him, doing the best you can. You remember, I mean, counting cooldowns. Yone are down. You had a little bit of an engage here, but not really much in that mid lane. So I think with both objectives down, by the next time fight is up, you'll probably have those things back. Right, Baron up in a minute, Dragon up in 2.
Yeah, that next Dragon is definitely going to be huge if Valpo can pick up the 3rd one of the game, put themselves on soul point. That would be excellent spot here.
Definitely. I mean, you're playing with the gold, but a lot of the times what we don't talk about is the pressure that these things put, right? Objectives obviously give you gold, give you buffs, but even the pressure of having, okay, this is 3 drag, we know they have to stop us on the 4th, right? They know they have to fight us here, and being able to take fights on your own terms is so huge. A lot of damage going out from MF Jakimbo now. You can kind of see, now that he has that item and he has boots, the trades are going to start to even out. Yone played well, playing around kind of the damage that you needed in that bot lane, or in that mid lane kind of 1v1 laning phase. But now that Emma Jakimbo's picked up first item, going to start stacking tier, probably go Seraphs into second, it's going to start becoming a lot harder for Yone to jump in on this Talia.
Yeah, you talk about those Drakes, that's kind of that silent ticking time bomb, you're like, okay, sure, they get this one, it's, just one dragon, it's not that bad, but as it keeps going and building up, and eventually you get to that Elder, it can be, a really game-deciding objective.
Definitely. I mean, we saw right there also Yone walking into mid here, got the proc off on the Mortal Shield bow, another cooldown that you just want to put up. They're looking maybe just to get a ward over wall, try and get a little bit of vision here as they're walking back. Having that first mid tower down is so huge for just pressure in general. So knowing that you can play around that mid tower is just pretty giant.
Yeah, Valpo positioning, getting vision here. They understand how important this next dragon is too, so it's kind of all about setting up and getting priority for that right now.
Definitely. There's the R, but the flash coming out from MS Jakimbo, the ignite on Jakimbo as well, but not going to be enough. Amumu walking down. You have to watch here. Might see a little bit of a fight here as Dragon is starting to appear. A couple of red wards down. You do still see Gragas is TPing in, so it's going to be a 5v4, but Dreadful is still in that top lane. Yone jumping in, but not going to be able to get much. Walking down, Gragas probably looking to hit some type of R over this wall, knowing that it's up. Oh, you have to be careful here. Dreadful is walking down and taking the time that you can. Yuwin is going to start this dragon here. And I think that Valpo really can't start until Dreadful is there, especially knowing that Gragas ult is up. Probably going to look to jump over the wall, then knock up on Vector as well. Not jumping in. Red team getting the dragon. Talia ult coming in. Xayah just doing a ton of damage, but Dreadful in the backline hitting. The exhaust going out on Gragas. Dunk Senpai picking up that kill. Dreadful picking up the kill on Yone as well. Gragas getting the backline. Xayah hitting Zeri as well. Gragas finishing off. Dreadful Bleed finishing Lulu, but it is going to be a 3-for-4 trade. Favor of Yuwin with Dragon going to Yuwin as well.
Man, all of these fights are just so chaotic and explosive. We haven't really seen a clean fight for one side or the other yet. It's always a 1-for-2, 2-for-3, or 3-for-4 like we saw here. Really reliant on that bot lane. We kind of finally saw the Xayah pop off, show her potential, picking up all 3 kills, I believe, in that skirmish.
Gragas picking up one of them.
Gragas picking up the 4th, yes. Yep. And Zeri picking up another one and doing a lot of damage on Valpo's side, so definitely the 2 main figures in that fight.
Yep, I mean, if we're looking at items now, right, Yone going with that Mortal Reminder, second item, now with the new pen that it gives, a lot more viable of an option, right? Obviously, Mortal Reminder, strong, but just a little bit weak when it came to just overall stat checking. So now that it has that armor pen with this new patch, a lot better of an item, especially going second here. With Dreadful picking up the Death Stance, a lot more of a actual fight presence, right? Death Stance is just insane. Obviously, did get really, really nerfed this last patch, so not nearly as much healing, especially if you secure the takedown, but it is still a lot that you can survive a lot longer in fights, and that's what you're looking for, especially as a bruiser.
Yeah, Dreadful really going to be important as these fights come up. You know, we've seen how kind of tanky he can be, but also how much damage he can do, kind of just spinning all over the other team. So.
Yep. Dunk Senpai picking up a shot there. And there's a lot of chip damage in this bot lane. There's Seraphs. The R coming out, sidestepping the R, sidestepping the Amumu dash as well. The E, but then the R from Amumu going down. You have to be careful though. Yuwin just blew 3 cooldowns on just MF Jakimbo, and now knowing Dreadful can take a lot of damage with that Death Stance, just kind of sitting through Xayah damage, not really having much armor pen, having to go that Navori second, which is the correct build, but having to side lane against a bruiser like Darius is just a lot harder this way.
Yeah, they are able to collapse on Jakimbo, but like you said, spending a lot, you know, in order to pick that up. But still probably worth it, you know, as you are definitely in this game. You get another kill.
Definitely. I mean, looking at map right now, it's a lot more open. You're playing a lot around these kind of side lanes, right? You're focusing on pushing down, but as they go, towers are starting to get taken. Dreadful going to try and match this Yone, which I think is a little bit better of a matchup for Dreadful rather than put MF Jakimbo against him.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, you know, because we haven't seen, you know, a clean wipe one way or the other yet, this game is still even as we're, you know, 25 minutes in here. The gold lead almost dead even still. So, yep. I mean, at some point we're going to have to see, you know, a clean fight and Ace come through here to kind of extend that lead, but both these teams are just so scrappy, not wanting to give up the game to the other.
Oh, for sure. MH Kimbo just going to this top lane again. I mean, we talked about how kind of playing this sideline, just getting really scrappy here, trying to get as much gold as you can, because obviously there's not like a real gold lead here, right? It's just like going to be CS. These team fights are coming out pretty even on both sides. So having as much laning potential, as much XP as you can going into this next fight, kind of are what both teams are prioritizing at the moment. And there's the R as well from Yone, right? Just just standing there, flash the mastery a little bit. Hey, listen, If you're gonna play Yone, you're doing it correct. You have to play aggressive, right?
Yeah.
That's what you have to do. You're gonna miss sometimes. Shit happens. Excuse my language. Sorry about that. Stuff happens. But
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has been incredibly aggressive. I mean, using that pretty much on cooldown. I'm like, he has this again already? He's
yeah.
just going and going and going.
I mean, as we've been talking about, it's already a third of the way through his cooldown, so he's probably gonna have it back for maybe this next fight, unless they start it pretty quick here. They're gonna have to be careful. Playing this dance really works in Valpo's favor. You can see the E over the Hex Gate from Yone here, just kind of walking back. A lot of chip damage being played here, especially with this Talia, being able to throw out all those abilities. Doing this little dance, while it does clear that Yone's cooldown, it's a lot better for MF Jakimbo, kind of just spamming his Q, as we know Talia loves to do.
Yeah, good bit of damage there on the Lulu as this fight is looking to start up soon. The Dragon is
going
here.
back. Dragon going up, the Vector missing the knockup, being on cooldown a little bit. Deadman's Plate going in, Dreadful pulling out, knocking up, and there's the Lulu down. Mumu ult in the backline as well. Yone jumps in, the Gragas ult getting a kill. Yone R's in as well, picking up another on this backline. You have to be careful. Valpo Esports' bot lane is dead here, but you do have Dreadful, Vector, and MF Jakimbo up. A lot of damage. The Zanyas goes out from Gragas. The Gragas gets away, trying to flash, but not going to be enough as Dreadful R's. R's again gets another double kill, gets a triple kill. Picking up, I think, all 4 of those kills here. Maybe going to make it 4. Nope, Jakimbo picks up that last one. I mean, the Dreadful effect is really in swing here with this Darius. Being able just to walk around, we saw that Ewan is kind of playing back to front here, right? Focusing that Zeri, focusing that Soraka, but that's the issue when you play back to front on a team that likes to play front to back, right? Because then you have Dreadful, you have all these guys who are also able to get to the back line. Because if you guys are just switch swapping, right? I think Valpo has a stronger backline kill than Ewan does, especially in that Darius. So when you play that Darius, you want to swap, it's going to be fine. You're going to get the backline of Zeri, you're going to get the backline of Soraka, but it's not going to be enough because Dreadful's just going to work his way right back around, especially having Vector, who now has a lot more potential of staying in fights. It's just going to be huge for him.
Yeah, I mean, that fight kind of swung back and forth so much. You know, Valpo's bot lane just getting almost instantly deleted. You see how much damage the Yone has. But after that, I mean, you just can't delete Dreadful as fast. And I mean, he's able to go in there and just kind of wipe out Ewan, you know, despite missing the Zeri. And Valpo finally picks up an ace, picks up that 3rd dragon. That was kind of the fight that we were looking for to establish this lead in this game.
Definitely. I mean, I think this is the highest lead that we've had all in the game, which is what?
Yeah, you know, 1.5k,
Yeah, 1.1,
you know, yeah.
Immediately right back. That one fight was huge for Valpo Esports, but it's still not enough because you're gonna have Arab Dad. The quick flash coming from Steamroller with the reaction, not gonna be able to get much from Yone, but getting the flash out of Soraka is huge for him right there.
Yeah, but if you're UN, you're gonna have to deal with Dreadful, the raid boss. 8-1 here on the Darius with a 700 gold bounty. That is one of the highest I've seen in a while here.
Definitely. I mean, you have the 1K shutdown now.
Uh-huh.
That's the scary part. Especially with someone that likes to run in, right? You don't have it on like an ADC who gets to play safe. You have it on Dreadful, who can more than enough just walk in and be the focus of CC, and I think that's kind of what Ewan's going to look for here, right? Is you want to now look for Dreadful and be able to focus him first, because you do have Zeri on 3 item, which is really, really scary, but Dreadful is going to kind of be this fight difference.
Yep, definitely the shutdown is something they're looking for. Both these teams, you know, potentially looking for the Baron, but kind of just setting up vision, taking their time here. We're gonna back, and we're gonna get some more items here.
Yep. I mean, just looking at builds really quick while we have this downtime here. You see the speed build from Darius, right? You go the Stride Breaker, Death Dance, and then Dead Man's Plate, and then has the Force of Nature as well. Or going to build into the Force of Nature, just to negate a lot more damage, knowing that he has to be this front line. He has to run in. Immediately going with the Rabadons for Talia. Yone being on third item, finishing IE, huge damage spike for him. You're going to see him do a lot this next fight. Xayah finishing that PD as well. Both Xayah and Ziri being pretty even on items here. Just having the QSS on Ziri, especially, I mean, we're talking about a Mumu stun, right? Especially from the R, because if a Mumu dives in on one, he's probably going to hit all of you, right? So having the QSS ring is just a nice little security kind of in the backline. Probably going to go with the Scimitar just to secure that cleanse ability.
Yeah, a lot of pings coming down here. Mumu actually gonna back for Ewan, and Valpo's kind of setting up here on this Baron a little bit. So
Just a little bit of vision clear. Knowing it's probably going to be a fight here, you have the Gragas bot side. Both TPs are up. I mean, every team can rotate to this, and quite frankly, if Baron does start here, it's going to be a 5v5.
yeah, it kind of seems like neither team wants to be the one to engage and start up this Baron. You know, be the first one to make a move here.
But it looks like Valpo will, just taking a little bit, knowing that Gragas did have that bot lane. Clearing all those words too, knows that Gragas is not going to be able to jump in right immediately. Dreadful pulling in, just trying to get a little bit of a stop on this Yone, running him down here, queuing, and that's going to be Baron for Valpo Esports. Just enough pressure, knowing that Gragas had returned there.
Yeah, Windsor kind of not on the same page, and Mumu not even there to look for the steal, so Dreadful is able to kind of zone out the Yone and pick up that Baron pretty uncontested.
Yep, and it looks like they're going to take this right into Dragon. Now, having that Baron, having that ability power, it's a lot more secure for Valpo to try and take a 5v5 here. Having just those buffed abilities, and you can see right there the Talia damage is just insane. Not even with Rabadons yet. Once Rabadons is fully built, she's going to just start melting people.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're able to pick up this Drake as well, then I mean, I don't see how Valpo can lose this game if they're able to grab both objectives.
If the Soul Point does go over to Valpo right here, it's going to be a little bit tough. The R coming out from Gragas, but the R from Thong Senpai as well, dashing away, picking up the kill on the Lulu. Smite and Soul going to Valpo Esports. Zeri picking up 2 kills. The R from Yone jumping in huge, but Dreadful picks up the kill on Amumu, flashing over the wall as well. Just going to probably run him down here, getting the Strikebreaker speed and the R, but Thong Senpai gets the final shot on that, and this might be game here. If Valpo Esports just plays this correctly, they kind of just take this tower, use their Baron buff, use Soul now that they have, and while we were looking at a very, very close lead, those 2 objectives right there split them so far now. They have so much power that they can kind of just end this right now.
Yeah, and I mean, 3 members of Windsor not up for 20 more seconds. You still got the Baron buff, you're pushing down mid. This Zeri and this Darius are both now so strong. Not much you can really do to stop them if you're Windsor.
Definitely. I mean, Emma Chikimbo's got to just keep that wave clear up. His wave clear being huge right now. Still hasn't finished Rabadons, right? TP is up. If he wants to back for that and then try and go for this fight, it makes sense.
Yep, not going to push it all the way here. As you saw, Zeri did back, so definitely wanting Thonk Senpai there when you're going to push for the end. So
Definitely just the smarter play, right? You're going to use your lead, but you don't want to just completely throw it away, right? Especially knowing how much gold you guys probably have from that last fight. You want to be able to take this back, you know, just get back to lane, be comfortable, get a couple of buffs up. You saw Dreadful taking the jungle on that side, kind of deny a Mumu a little bit more CS, and just get back to this game.
yep, don't want to overextend. We've seen so many times across all levels of league.
And there might be the knockup as well. The Frostfire Gauntlet proccing, the Amumu throwing in the Q as well, Vector taking a lot of damage, the TP coming in, Thong Senpai R in, and here comes the front to back that we were talking about. He's just going to keep dashing in. There's the shot, the R coming from Dreadful. It's going to reset though, and there's a triple kill going from Thong Senpai. Going to walk it in. Both Yone and Gragas are not back, taking their backs now, but looks like they're just going to try and wait for wave and take a lot of damage here. Yone probably looking for a huge R, and there's the R, but not being able to hit anything, getting silenced, exhausted, and thrown back there, not being able to E back, and that's going to be the death on him, and this is most likely going to be game. Valpo Esports taking game 1 of this NECC series against Win Esports. Now, I mean, talking about fights right there, you had the gold lead on this series. Dreadful did really good to kind of work into their comp of what Jarvan wanted, being able to dash through people, get Dreadful, kind of like clear a path for him almost, so that when they clear a path, you're able to just go back, take out the back line, and then just work your way back around. And that's kind of what Valpo was looking for. It's what they did well. Human Esports had a really strong start, but just had a little bit of faltering as that mid game, late game objective fight started to go. Um, so overall, I mean, great game, and we will catch you guys back up with game 2 of this series.
wanted was a little space, a place where I can fully be myself. Was building up a world that keeps me safe. How couldn't I see it really was a cage? How did I get lost in my own orbit? Revolving around the planet that no one else can find. I'm waiting for signals on my screen when the signs that I'm receiving are all delayed in time. All I wanted was a little space, a place where I can fully be myself. Building up a world that keeps me safe. How couldn't I see it really was a cage? Give me a little space.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we jump into Game 2 of NECC Week 2 for Valpo Esports' League of Legends team. Going into a couple of bans, you and Esports immediately with the Darius pick. Makes sense, right? Just get Darius out of the way. We saw Dreadful how dirty he was playing that. Knowing that, really just don't want to face kind of that comp here. Oh,
We might have a little bit of an error here, as we might not have been totally ready here
yeah.
for the draft.
I
So
mean, like Mike and I were sitting in the booth here, and we're like, "Well, we're going." I felt
yeah,
bad because we're talking here, and I'm like, "Are we just not prepared? Like, are we not paying attention?" But it looks like we're just gonna get going with this. Just might as well go. Oh,
yeah. So we're gonna take a look at this draft, see what happens here. If this is actually the picks we're gonna be making here, as there seems to be some confusion.
yep,
Um, and it looks like the teams are good. So this is going to be our draft here that we are doing. As we see, like we talked about, the Darius, such a problem. Ewan just going to get rid of him and also getting rid of the Zeri.
yep.
So
I mean, two of the very deciding factors. We talked about those two characters really carrying that last game. With like the support from Vector, with Emma Kimbo's poke, healing, right? But really, the two main factors in that game were that Darius and Zeri. So now, I mean, hey, they're both gone. And you and Esports probably gonna first pick this Jax. Knowing that it's not banned anymore, not taking that Jax ban, making sure that Dreadful can't get it, and Jax being just insanely strong right now.
yeah, Ewan doing a great job kind of strategizing in this draft, using that first pick as a little bit of an extra band, taking away that Jax as well as getting it for themselves. But Valve was going to first pick the Jarvan. We talked about how much Vector loves this pick, and it was pretty darn good last game. So,
Yep. I mean, kind of looking for just a little bit of dash in. Ewan taking Jack's first pick, so then opens up your jungle, opens up that prio pick that you want for jungle, and Jarvan just being so nasty this patch, right? I mean, I kind of understated it when we were talking earlier, but now playing that game, you really know the danger that he is. Valpo, you start picking up Sivir here. Yep, there's the Sivir. Taking that ADC role helps with the wave clear, right? Just kind of helps to push out a little bit still of a scaling comp, but not as much as Zeri. I feel like a little bit more fight potential early, especially with the pressure that you put on your wave.
yeah, and a little bit less comfort too. We talk a lot about how much Thonk Senpai plays the Zeri, not having that, going to go back to the Sivir. I'm sure it's something, he's still confident on, but a lot of less play time for him there.
Definitely. I mean, um, just picking up the Jinx from Ewan as well makes sense, right? You have the Jinx, you have the Sivir matchup, and while both of them do scale really hard, Jinx is a lot snowball, right? A lot of snowball. So you get that extra range because now that Sivir is throwing her W on the wave, right, and it's bouncing around, you need extra range, and Jinx Q gives you that. So you can still poke out from range. You have the move speed buff from her passive when you get that kill, so you turn 2v1s or you turn 2v2s into easy 2-0s.
Yeah, and on the Valpo side, we see Dreadful electing for the Gangplank into the Jax, and then Valpo once again leaving their support to the second phase. So,
Yep. Um I guess just like not really knowing kind of where to pick this support, right? Because that is the tough part about banning out characters with like high, banning out somebody's high play rate character is you really don't know what direction they're going. But knowing that there is the Jinx Braum in there, you kind of want to secure that Gangplank pick. You know what you want to take now, right? And you know the options that you have with GP, knowing that it got banned second round. You want to take GP now. Just get it out the way. Make sure you can secure that pick, especially knowing that you have that Jack's top lane. 'Cause,
yep. And then we're also seeing Valpo ban out the Silas there. And on the side of Windsor, they're gonna ban out the Ashe and the Anivia. So taking away the Ashe support if Steamroller wanted to pick it. but
Yep.
I don't think that's necessarily a pairing you see often with Sivir, so not too big of a deal. And
That's not so much of a poke, right? I mean, Sivir's an auto attacker, so you have the poke going on, um, which makes sense, but not the range, right? You have the poke, you have the auto attack, but you don't have the range that you want to run Ash support with. And then Valpo Esports banning out the Silas, saying, "Hey, take the Yone." Right? Like Yone was really good last game, but you saw just kind of got outscaled as the game went on. Knowing that Valpo Esports might have just a different pick taking this Lulu first, leaving that mid for very, very last.
yeah, and you did see Steamroller hover his signature Taric for almost the entire time before going back to that Lulu, but also something, we've seen him play a lot. So I think this bot lane is going to be pretty good here for Valpo.
Yep, definitely. I mean, the Echo mid is really strong. It could be Echo jungle. Ooh, no, it's definitely Shyvana jungle. Um, Shyvana jungle, Echo mid. Echo mid kind of plays around that same range as Yone, right? You have a lot of control through your waves. That's the biggest thing I think people talk about, right? When it comes to Echo and Yone and characters that have these dashes, have these crazy, piercing abilities like Yone's Q, Echo E, Yone E, right, where you get ghosted. These kind of abilities that you have gives you lane pressure. So now you can't hide behind minions anymore. You can't like block with a minion. Like Veigar Q can't go through minions. But now you have something that can. So for Valpo Esports, if you're gonna play someone that's dashing in, we're gonna play Gragas, right? Gragas is, I talked about this first game when Ewan took it, a great pick for somebody that wants to get up close because Gragas likes people getting up close because he will always win trades. All he has to do is E, and then once he drinks, he gets E, auto, and then Q, and he wins that trade. He walks off, and he gets the heal from his W as well. So having an Echo mid who wants to Q dash, even if you're slow, your E is just going to be bounce off of him, get that stun, make sure that he can't recall.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see the Gragas. I think we've seen Jakimbo run the Gragas mid
Yep.
before. That was a
Hmm.
pretty fun game, so I'm hoping to see that next. On the side of Windsor, though, picking up the Shyvana, I heard some talk pregame that this player is essentially a Shyvana one trick. A
Yep.
lot of Shyvana under their belt, so
Ton of Shyvana. They were laughing a little bit, like the way that it was organized. It kind of looked like Shyvana was their ADC here. But I mean, Shyvana jungle is nothing that we expected. Uh, No Cap Rhino, their ADC, actually plays a ton of Shyvana. So that's kind of like where the joking was coming around, where it's like, all right,
okay.
who is playing Shyvana here? Like who is actually in this bot lane here? Um, but I mean, Shyvana kind of an underrated pick right now in a weird
Yeah.
spot. I'd say that she's in kind of the spot that Nidalee is, right? We know that Night Harvester is really strong on Sylex, but Night Harvester kind of falls off a little bit when it comes to these tankier champions, right? And compared to the other mythics that are available for like AP mages and AP bruisers like Silas, right, with Rod of Ages, Cassidon on Rod of Ages, even Asol on Rod of Ages, and then Everfrost as well. Night Harvester just kind of falls back a little bit. So characters that build off Night Harvester like Shyvana just become a little bit tougher. So into this game, especially going into that Jarvan 4, I'm kind of expecting a little bit more of a tankier build coming from the Shyvana, maybe the Jack Show, maybe the Sunfire Rush, just that, and then around a Baron or something to just give AD.
Yeah, I'm also excited to see, how this Jinx Brom lane performs from Windsor. We saw last game with the Zaya, a lot of priority on their bot lane, a lot of power there. So I'm interested to see how No Cap or Rhino takes this Jinx into this game.
Definitely. Jinx, right? Super heavy late game scaler. I feel like though in the meta, Sivir is a lot stronger of a late game scaler, but I mean, we'll have to see as the game goes. Overall, pretty even drafts, I'd say. I prefer Valpo's draft a little bit if Jax does not get off to a good start. If Jax gets off to a good start and you can play around Jax, Ewan is gonna have a great time sitting behind him. But if not, You need time for Gangplank to scale. You need time for Sivir to scale. Kind of sitting on that Gragas and Jarvan. So as long as Jax doesn't outscale that GP, especially going into that late game, I think Valpo's in a good spot.
Yep, and we will have to see. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be back on commentary in just a minute when the spectator delay is over. And we are back. Spectator delay coming out of this here, and we will be in game in just a second. I mean, that first game was a fun one to watch, so I'm looking forward to this. Hopefully, it's just as close, just as exciting here.
Definitely. I mean, looking for just a close game, like we said earlier. Taking a peek at the runes here, you have the first strike Gangplank, just with the damage, especially from his R going into Q, and then his passive as well, the passive flame proccing that first strike. Ton of gold generation, um, ton of gold generation coming out from first strike Gragas as well. Just looking, it's gonna be a little bit tougher to proc that first strike on Echo E because Echo E is a split second ability. You're gonna have to predict your E, but if not, I mean, you have the Dark Seal start on Echo here as well, so not going easy. Definitely not going easy. You're gonna go up, take as much as you can.
Yeah, and we're looking at this Windsor, looking for a little bit of an invade here. Grouped as 5,
And there's the Braum hit as well. Braum being a pretty strong invade. Jax E starting off, but the Gragas slow is going to be enough to just stop them from getting in.
and they're gonna force that flash out of Fox Senpai here. So good little bit of early pressure coming from the Windsor bot lane, knowing that the Sivir does not have flash.
I mean, that's huge, honestly, for this bot lane fight because now Thong Senpai has to be mindful. Hey, I can't push up anymore. I can't walk up anymore because if I walk up, jungle level 2 gank, especially playing that or actually not Shyvana, but just an early gank in general, doesn't have the actual flash to get out of it now.
Yep, and we're gonna see Shyvana starting down here on the bot side for Windsor, and so is Jarvan on the other side. So we talk a lot about how much we prioritize the bot lane, and we're seeing it here.
Yep, I mean, you have the Jarvan pathing bot, or you have the Jarvan starting that blue, and I mean, we know what he's going to do. He's going to hit this level 2, probably clear Gromp, and then immediately try and walk this bot lane. Especially knowing that Thong Senpai doesn't have his sums anymore, you need to give an advantage. So giving that advantage is so huge, just in a bot lane meta in general, but now more than certain. Having the Braum and having the outrange on Jinx for level 1 is nice because if you can proc that Braum, proc that 4-hit passive, get that stun, it's really all you need.
Yeah, definitely got to play a little more passive if you're Thong Senpai. And Jarvan already working down here for Valpo, trying to set something up incredibly early here.
Yep.
Making
And there's
his
a miss.
presence known.
There's a miss of the knock up there, but looks like they're just going to walk back here, and obviously just enough pressure that they can kind of walk back. You can see, or it's talking about before, Echo playing around those ways, being able to just throw abilities through. Really, really tough to walk around. GP walking up a little bit, have to just get one of his barrels off, try and get your passive back, because that's really early game, that's where your damage is coming from. You don't have your barrel crit yet, your Q is still doing a lot of damage, but the mana that it costs, it's a really, really inefficient trade. So you just keep throwing barrels down, keep proccing your passive, keep getting that true damage burn.
Yeah, and we know how aggressive Dreadful is, so he's definitely going to play to that, although he has to be careful because Jax is such a strong laner right now.
I mean, Jax is a really, really strong lane, especially just, I mean, meta in general. But taking that first strike allows you a little bit of security in farming. You get that early farm, you get what you need, and then by the time that you start to scale, as long as Jax does not have a large lead, just know your role, know where you can play, know your limit, and then you can easily outscale this Jax.
As we see the junglers kind of bumping heads there quickly in the river, but not much to come of it. And overall, you know, we know how aggressive Arab Dad likes to play from first game, so Jakimbo's gonna look to counter a little bit of that now that he knows how he likes to play, and you know, after he kind of got the short end of the lane there in last game.
Yep, definitely. I mean, a lot harder of a lane for him, but now not having that kind of stun potential and having a lot tankier of a build, you can kind of just bully in this lane a little bit more. You just have to let Echo put himself in a bad wave state, right? That's the hardest thing about Echo when it comes to laning, is that your abilities do a lot of damage early, and your abilities hit minions really easily. So it's kind of really, really hard to not just shove minion, especially in these fights. And you can see right here, he gets the proc, but it's not going to be enough. And Mr. Kimbo trying to walk out, get that stun, the shield as well, waiting for these cooldowns. You have to watch out. Both are on really low mana. There's the knock up with the first blood going to Jarvan on the dash.
Really good job there by Jakimbo on the Gragas, just fully outplaying the Echo. Not quite able to pick up first blood as Vector comes in and swoops it up, but he definitely would have got the kill if Vector wasn't there. So.
Definitely. I mean, this is kind of the issue with Shyvana playing into a meta that's junglers are very, very aggressive early, is that Shyvana needs to farm, right? I mean, Shyvana 6 is a huge power spike for her. So getting as much farm as you can, getting as much CS as you can is huge. You can look at the CS diff right now. I mean, it's a 20 CS diff at 5 minutes, right? And while there is a kill on Jarvan's side, Shyvana is just focusing on full clearing, focusing on getting those jungles. And I think Ewan knows that, hey, there's not going to be much pressure in our lane until now, right? We just have to wait.
Yeah, pretty substantial gap there for Shyvana, but Dreadful building his own gap, up 16 on the Jax in the top lane. Definitely looking to play through him once again, as we saw how impactful he could be in game 1.
Definitely. Emma Jakimbo playing around. We're going to see if he can get a little bit more of a lead, right? We talked about impact in first game was huge, just kind of as he went along. But now he has the advantage. Right.
We're starting to see players hit level 6, and Vector was working towards bot side. I thought we might see some action, but he might actually look towards this dragon here, so...
Yep, I mean, looking towards that drag, you have to be careful. As Dreadful, what I'm thinking here is you just can't get caught out by Jax, right? You can't go into a situation where you need to use your R, because you can give your team a 5v4 advantage by throwing your R down at jungle. And you're going to see here, Jax knows that. So as they engage in this bot lane, he's going to engage in that top lane. Just kind of wait. There's the R coming out from Gangplank as well. The kill on Shyvana not being able to dash back and fast enough as J4 picks up that kill. And first drag is going to go to Valpo Esports' side.
There it is, Vector picking up the second kill of the game and the dragon. I mean, as you've looked at, you know, Valpo's games in 2023, he really is kind of the heart and soul of this team. You know, if he's able to perform, get these objectives, get these kills, I mean, Valpo hardly ever loses.
Definitely. Just a couple of shots here. You do have the Jax R come out as well, but it's not going to be enough as Dreadful picks up his first kill in the top lane.
Valpo really pushing their advantage in these lanes and actually picking up more of a lead than they had, not until like 20 minutes last game, and now they're up, 2K, almost 2.5K gold here.
Definitely. A couple of shots going out. Now that you have this lead, right, you have to think about, all right, what can we use with it? You have a lot of the lead on the Jarvan right now, being 2-0, which is good for this early game, but not really great for that longer game. So think just short term, right? What can we do right now? And that's going to be objective. You have to play for these objectives here.
Which, Valpo was pretty good at last time, being able to pick up the Dragon Soul, pick up the Baron. I think they picked up every objective except one Dragon, and Steamroller's getting very low here. No Cap Rhino flashes in, picks up the kill, and that's going to be 2 for the bot lane of Windsor, evening things out here.
That was a little bit tough, right, as an engage. We talked about how Jinx can turn a 2v2 to a 2v0 very, very fast, right? You had that first go down, or you had that Steamroller go down first, and that speed is just so much that, especially with the Braum stun, right, you proc that so fast, it's insane.
Yeah, did commit a lot of summoners in there to get the kills, but definitely very worth it as you get some money on this bot lane, start to get them going, and, just like that, I was saying Valpo is building a lead, but that's the way this series has been, instantly picking up 2, and Windsor evens it out.
Definitely. I mean, now that it's even, we talked about early game leads, but hey, you gotta play around this bot lane again. You can't roam around anymore. You really have to make sure that this Jinx doesn't get that lead, because accelerated Jinx is going to beat out that Sivir, especially around that mid game. Couple of shots going out. You can see Echo now that he has that real AP from that Doran's ring, right? Having that D shield as well, but the sword boots specifically, that magic pen, actually starting to do some trades here. It's becoming a little bit more dangerous for him if Jakimbo can't really sit through a lot of these. Has to start watching his abilities.
Yeah, Jakimbo's still holding his own, and a little bit less of a focus. We haven't really seen the Shyvana come mid lane here and try to pick him off, target him out, but Gragas is a little bit less of that, kind of hard carry damage dealing that Talia was last game, so.
Definitely. I mean, now that you have Gragas though, right? He's not the damage dealing like you said, but he is a lot more engaged. He has a lot more damage. They don't have to do that dance anymore, right? They loved doing that dance around dragons. They loved like poking out with Talia, but now, I mean, you don't really want to face that into a team like Jax or someone that can jump in really quickly. So now you're not really focusing on that. You can really play around your team. Shyvana does show up in this mid lane here. The dash away is going to get out of Shyvana dash. Just stopping that knockup. Braum shooting it as well, trying to just proc passive before he walks back.
Yeah, Jakimbo doing a much better job in the lane this game, winning a lot of these trades versus this Echo, and kind of holding his own. Last game, I think he had 7 deaths, so one of his rougher outings, but looking to bounce back almost instantly, 2 assists involved in both these kills so far.
I mean, biggest thing you have to remember is that, I mean, death does not equal bad, right? There are certain deaths that you have to take for your team. So while it was a little bit of a rough outing, he at least knew where he was, knew how to play, and knew what he needed to look for.
Seeing pings come through. Looks like Vector's going to give a little visit to this bot lane. Not necessarily a gank, but able to help out with the wave a little bit.
Definitely. Just a couple of shots out. You do see Echo in this bot lane, so they are going to turn it to a 3v3 here. The stun going out, and the R from Braum missing on Vector. There's a couple of dashes. Echo, knowing that he has his R up, is a lot more aggressive now. Gragas looking to rotate here. Dragon being up, so this bot lane pressure is needed for you win if they are going to get this. The R on the back lane as well. The R coming in from Gangplank as well. A ton of damage coming out. Vector picking up the kill on Jinx. Thunk Senpai in the background throwing up a lot of kills. Lulu getting the ult out on Thunk Senpai, keeping him up. Echo just running around trying to get that burst, but Thunk Senpai, Jakimbo cleaning up that backside. Shyvana just not being fast enough to come in.
Such a good rotation from Valpo, bringing Jakimbo down, giving them the advantage, And there's Vector once again with the R, with the engage.
Yep.
Such a huge part of this team and all of their fights.
Yep, I mean that combo between Gangplank and Jarvan, now that you have that kind of security in Gragas mid lane, going to Leandries as well, not the Roa that we usually expect from a Gragas mid lane, that or the Everfrost, but just looking for burn.
And Dreadful's
Bang!
gonna pick up his second solo kill onto the Jax there.
Yep, I mean last shot there, but this is going to clear up Drag. We talked about how dangerous Gangplank is once he hits 6 in those fights, and you saw it right there. The Jarvan R plus Gangplank ult going down, just locking down so much damage, and turning team really from like a 4v4 damage into like a 4.5, right? Because that's a ton of damage coming from that GP ult.
Yeah, and Valpo extending this early game lead. I mean, other than that double kill in bot lane from Windsor, this has been pretty dominant here from Valpo, picking up all of the objectives, kind of winning all of these lanes, as we're going to see good Kimbo looking to engage on the Braum, but he's able to back off here.
Yep, I mean Braum ult going out, going to be on cooldown, but Braum ult kind of a low cooldown, like 90 seconds at level 1, so it should be back up for the next fight. Steamroller just looking over the wall. They do have vision here, you can chip them out a little bit. Just trying to clear these wards, right? I mean, now's the best time when you know that you don't have a team fight. Make sure Steamroller, if he tries to go and check that ward, just get a quick jump on him, but it looks like Steamroller knows a little bit better than that. And Dunksapai just continuing to farm. It's what you do.
Yeah.
Saying ADC continues to farm might be like the, hey, like, did you know the sun rises in the morning?
Yeah. The ADC's gonna farm, you know, the quarterback's gonna throw the ball.
yeah, exactly. I mean, Riot Games is gonna break their game next patch. It's all inevitable. We figured these things out.
Yes.
But
death taxes in the ADC farming.
Yeah, exactly. A couple of shots out, just trying to get the stun on Steamroller, but not gonna be enough. Taking a tower shot there. I mean, let's see here. You have Dreadful walking up. There's the dash as well. The Shyvana comes up. Another knockup as well. Dreadful in a really bad spot here. But here comes the TP as well and the knockup from Vector. And they're going to make a quick, clean 2-for-1 trade going in Valpo's favor. Good rotation right there. Just a really, really snap turn. And that's kind of what you're looking for, especially when they have those kind of prolonged fights. Shyvana blows ult, Jax blows ult, and stun on E. You immediately have to go now.
Such a quick reaction. I mean, Valpo has been completely on top of this game. It seems like they're so much more synchronized, so much more ready to make these rotations at a moment's notice, like you said.
Yep, definitely. I mean, we call them snap, right? We call them snap engages. So having those kind of snap engages are just so strong for Valpo, looking for really anything here to just separate themselves in this lead. Giving themselves a 5k gold lead going into new Baron spawn in 3 minutes.
Yeah, we're also going to see both teams, you know, pick up a turret. This map is going to open up a little bit more, and we're going to see what Windsor can do. As we talked about, this Jinx is more late game, but this Echo might be caught out here.
He does have the R, Steamroller in the back as well. The stun coming out, a lot of damage. Jinx shooting over the wall. MF Jakimbo kind of walking up, not really wanting to walk to get kited there.
Jakimbo looking for an engage once again on this Braum. Jinx is there and able to do enough damage to stave them off. And definitely talking about that Jinx, that's got to be Windsor's way back into this game.
No, definitely. Dreadful taking a lot of damage from the Shyvana. Shyvana finishing Nash's Tooth, right, as you expected. But now that R is gone, just ton of damage from those crits coming from Dreadful. I think that was like 3 crits in a row. Having that Navori's and that Essence Reaver. Just so dangerous.
I mean, Dreadful, the damage he does just comes down so incredibly quickly, as you can see there. I mean, you think Shyvana's winning that fight, she's almost full health, and bang, 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 she's gone.
Exactly. Echo does get engaged on here by Vector and MF Jakimbo. Just picking up another pick as well, and Ewan just kind of getting separated. needs to just regroup a little bit, kind of play for their objectives, because now that pick with drag up in 30 seconds is just going to be enough. Okay.
Yeah, as you said, you know, this gold lead is really starting to grow up to almost 6.5K here. And if Windsor wants to get back into this, you know, they're going to have to not give up these picks, play a little more cleaner, and kind of hope to get this Jinx accelerated.
Yep. You do have the knock up in the R as well coming from Vector. They are coming out from Braum. Emma Chikimbo with the R in the back line, knocking Jinx away, and they are going to walk him down with 1 kill. Just trying to clear this wave, try and push this in, maybe be able to get a tower dive here. Yuwin can't really stay for long. There's the stun and the R coming out from Jax. A lot of damage, the flash as well, but the flash coming out from Dreadful being enough. Vector jumping in, missing the Gore Drinker, and just having to walk back out as Dragon is up. Not really worth, like, you know, risking another engage.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to call it yet, but man, 18 minutes, this lead is growing so large for Valpo. About to pick up the 3rd Drake of the game. It's going to be incredibly tough for Windsor to find their way back into this one.
Definitely. I mean, you have to be careful here. Windsor just... excuse me. Sorry. Lost my train of thought there. Emma Chikimbo just kind of cornering Arab Dad here, but you see Echo just so much burst damage. So much burst damage.
Yeah, definitely more of a quiet point in this game, kind of farming up, waiting for that Baron to spawn. Just 40 seconds here, as you can see, trying to get some vision down and establish priority for that of Dragon. You can see both the teams kind of grouping up here in mid lane. We got 4 members trading back and forth, just clearing these waves. Gragas is going to get a back here, so he's going to have all of his items for this next fight.
Yep, I mean, now having that Cosmic, just so important for immobilizing with the combo that Gragas has. Just really, really tough. Vector just looking for anything here. A knock-up, knowing that they have priority in this lane, and Rift Herald being dropped down this mid. Looking to open up the map a little bit. And Rift Herald is going to get a charge off here, but might not be able to get much else after that. As it's destroyed. And here comes Rhino, getting knocked up. There's the R as well. Shyvana coming out to help. The R to the backline, but the jump in the backline as well. Steamroller going down. Jinx picking up the kill on Vector as well. Jax jumping in too, but finishing off. Good engage for Ewan, knowing that GP is top lane. Gragas really taking that recall, not being able to get back in time. Just overall good choice on their part.
Yeah.
Take that, and they're going to rotate that right into a Baron, knowing that Vector is down.
I mean, this is such a huge swing. Windsor kind of punishing that overextension from Valpo. They might actually be able to get this Baron off of it, but Valpo's certainly going to try and disrupt that, as we see Dreadful coming in here on the backside and is going to pick up the Jinx.
Yep, I mean, Dreadful picking up that Jinx. Gragas finishing off Shyvana. Dreadful with the double kill. Echo still getting the Gangplank knock-up. The Ignite on Thunk Senpai getting cleansed. Jax kind of walking back. You still have full health Chikimbo, and there's the knock-up. Echo trying to finish off, even out just as much as they can, but there is the final kill for Gragas. Picking up 3 kills in that fight. Huge in that ace.
I mean, how impressive was that? Valpo essentially taking the 5v3 and winning it there with Vector and Steamroller still on cooldown, not making it back until the very end of that fight. But we saw the flank coming in from Dreadful. They kind of just pinched them, and at this point Dreadful does so much damage. And MF Chikimbo is such a good tank here, also picking up 6 kills, so definitely a great performance by him.
Definitely. I mean, this is kind of just need a little bit of a warm up. Did have a really hard pick that first match, right? They did what they needed to do, but now Emma Chikimbo's got his counter pick. He got that last pick. Knew who he wanted to play into this, and overall is just doing really well.
Although Windsor did pick up that double kill mid lane, you see Valpo able to come back, bounce back instantly, and that lead is still holding strong. So Windsor's going to need a couple more good fights if they want to get back into this. It's still a pretty substantial margin.
Yep. And there's the replay from Echo, just trying to dash away after a couple of shots. R being down on Echo is going to give him enough time just to get a little bit of a back, knowing that they don't have that all-in potential.
Yep, both teams just playing it a little slow here, taking their time. You know, Valpo not wanting to overextend and give another kill or two up to Windsor, and you know, Windsor obviously not wanting to get in the hole anymore. So
I mean, not wanting to get in that hole, just clearing that vision, just getting around a little bit. So important.
as we see, we're kind of building up for this dragon that's going to be up here in 30 seconds. If Windsor wants to find their way back in, this is definitely a fight that they're going to have to win. You don't want to give the soul over to Valpo, because
Definitely not.
that would put you down by a lot. So we're gonna see them fight hard here to try and take this one.
Definitely. I mean, you have to be able to walk up to this fight. You can see the zoning damage that's taken from Valpo Esports. There's a huge knock-up after the dash. The R from Dreadful coming in, getting a ton of damage. Thunk Senpai being able to walk in that back line. Shyvana R'ing to the back as well. Double kill going from Vector. Double kill going to Dreadful and to Thunk Senpai. 4 going down. Only Jinx left. You can see the crit on the bear on the Q is going to finish it. Triple kill. That's going to be an ace for Valpo Esports.
This has just been very dominant through and through. Vector gonna pick up the soul here. The ace for Valpo. Everything has gone their way this game.
It really has. I mean, you can look at the leaderboard right now. It's really tough. Over a 12k gold lead. It's just really hard for Valpo to kind of, or excuse me, it's really hard for Uwin here to get back into this game. There's just so much map control and so much damage. I mean, overall, just a good draft comp. What we talked about, I like Valpo Esports as long as Jax doesn't get fed. And Dreadful played well into that laning, got that solo kill, got a little bit faster of a scale, allowed to use his R in those fights in that bot lane, and that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, sorry about a little bit of glitch there. We love League of Legends, but Valpo now, you know, picking up this Baron, they're gonna have a lot of power, and I mean, you gotta think it's just gonna take one more fight for them to secure this.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you just need one more fight. Push it up. You have Baron. Soul Point is yours. Like you were talking about, there's just so much. You just can't give these objective bounties. Steamroller might take a lot of damage here. There is the Shirelius walking out in the sidestep on the Braum as well, stopping the slow. They are going to get mid-turret here, but I mean, if you're Valpo, you just give that. You have to give that. Make sure that you have all 5 up for this next fight that they have.
Yeah, Steamroller doing a great job of evading there and not giving up the kill. Definitely, like you said, the turret, not that big of a deal. So, we're kind of just grouping up and preparing for, you know, what will likely be the final fight if it goes Valpo's way at all here.
Most likely going to be that final fight. Just have to be careful going down this mid, right? If you're not safe with your play, you can get kind of choke pointed, right? Especially with Shyvana ult being able to jump in. It's just really tough. It's really tough to know where you are. Kind of playing that 1-3-1 just to apply pressure. Gragas taking that side lane, pushing up these waves, and I think if they force this one fight, they can win, especially with Shyvana being half.
Yeah, I mean, you've still got Baron. You see them grouping mid here, applying so much pressure to the base of Windsor.
Just walking around a little bit, couple of shots going off. There's the W. There are a couple of shots from Kimbo as well, dashing away. There's the Braum R. Braum might get caught out here. There's the shield, but it's not going to be... Oh, the dash away, but there it is. It's not going to be enough as MFJ Kimbo finishes up that kill. Echo looking for a couple of dashes as well, but it's not going to be enough. Dreadful taking this kill, and that's probably going to be game here.
Yeah.
Valpo Esports taking it, game 2 against Uwin. There's the double kill. Lulu jumping in. The Shyvana ult away is not going to be enough as they do start to finish this game.
Really great performance from Valpo, start to finish here, as we see
Yep.
They're just wrapping this one up. A couple members of Windsor trying their best to hold out, but there's the ace, and they're going to be able to push straight in and take the Nexus. I mean,
Yep.
this has just been very good, top to
Definitely.
bottom. I mean, everyone kind of winning their lane.
Plunk. Yep, it's just the R's thrown into the jungle, or thrown into the Nexus there. But, I mean, like you said, overall, really, really great game. Not really much else to say there, just a really dominant play. We do have a little bit of an interview here, uh, with our jungler Vector, playing J4 both of those games, right? Nice to have you here. Thank you, thank you.
Hello.
First thing I want to ask you about is J4, right? New patch. How does it feel?
Well, it's nice to have an actual effect happen when you press the W button.
Yeah, true.
The buffs feel really good.
Sick.
He's a little overtuned right now, I think. I think he's a little bit too tanky when you dive, even if you're building full AD.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I think he'll feel really good going forward.
Definitely. I mean, drafting these kind of picks. I know pre-game Valpo a lot was talking about that kind of GP Jarvan,
Yeah,
that
GP
combo,
Jarvan.
knowing that you have that pressure on drag especially as well.
Yeah.
Kind of how did that play into not just your draft comp, but just how you played this game, how you pathed?
Yeah, there were a lot of like I knew I could basically ignore top because
Mhm.
he's gonna sit there and win or go neutral in lane because Jack's GP just kind of sits there and farms. And when we're fighting for dragons, if it's a 4v4, we can just say, hey, Gangplank, press R. Now it's like a 4.5 versus 4.
Yep,
So we always have kind of a numerical advantage, even though our top laner is not actually there. And if you trap one or two people in the GP ult, they just sit there taking damage for the whole time. It's pretty brutal.
definitely. I mean, we saw it there. There was just so much damage that popped off, and then right the crit build just melting people. But I mean, talking Jarvan, knowing that you could play around that bot side. First game, you had the Zeri, right? You knew kind of what you were looking for, but is just level 2 clearing kind of that way to go with Jarvan?
I was kind of this. That was a little experimental. I'll say you can see that both of those level 2 ganks didn't quite work out, but
I was
I don't
wondering
know.
a little bit because I'm like
Yeah,
I see you pat that side and I'm like okay he's clearing a little bit, then he'll probably look for mid lane or something, and you were instantly in that lane like
yeah.
right after first couple minions died.
I got double scuttled both games, which kind of sucks, but
Yeah,
it is what it is.
that's like a bad omen.
Yeah. But I don't know. Just I can focus mid too, especially since like Yone it was more of a problem for ganking with Jarvan because you have his Q and his E he can use to dodge your engage. But Echo for the most part is like you can gank Echo pretty easily.
Mhm.
And same with Jinx Braum, especially Jinx. Like Jinx doesn't really have anything other than flash to get out of the Jarvan ult. So if I just EQ ult on Jinx and now she's sitting in Gangplank ult, like there's not much they can do there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we saw it work out that game. Just overall great communication, way to play with your team, and thank you for being on. We
No
appreciate
problem.
that. Of course, man. But no, that will be that will be it for us for the Valpo Esports League of Legends cast NECC Week 2, 2-0 going over to Valpo Esports. Thank you all for the support. I'm your host Dikembe. I'm here with my co-host,
I'm Mike.
and we want to wish you guys a good night.